Good evening, dear students. Welcome back to first PUC English class. So I have a question to ask you. So let me begin this class with a few questions, very general questions, and you may find it very silly. Okay, so this is about water that the question that I'm going to ask you is about water. So how important water is in our life? Definitely you may say that this is a stupid question, right? Because we all know that water is very essential and it is a part and parcel of our lives. And we cannot even imagine our life without water. Forget about life, we cannot even imagine a day without water because this is so important for us. So my question is, have you ever thought of conserving water? So please try to think about this question very seriously, because most of us have a very negligence attitude towards the conservation of water. Because so when you have sufficient water, then you use that excessively, more than you require. So because we do not know the value of water, so that is why we have to conserve water. We have to use how much we require, not more than that. So think about that, and then I'll tell you why I'm talking about conservation of water. Okay, so before getting into today's class, let me give you the meaning of the word that I gave you in the previous class. So what was that word? Claptrap. So many of you have sent me the right answer and I really appreciate you for that. So what is the meaning of claptrap? Claptrap can be said as, pretentious. Not real, not genuine. Okay, very fake, we can say that. Pretentious, insincere, not sincere, insincere, foolish talk, empty language where there is no meaning at all, where there is no sense at all. So foolish, stupid. So this is the meaning of claptrap. So how do we use that in a sentence? We can say that his entire speech was nothing but claptrap. It was very, insincere, foolish, very stupid. And in other words, we can say that don't believe a word what he says. Don't believe a word of what he says. It's just a load of claptrap. So this is how we use the word claptrap in a sentence. So now let's get back to our class. Yes, I was talking about water conservation, because this topic is very much related to what we are going to discuss today. I'm going to discuss your first PUC lesson, that is Watchman of the Lake. As I said, lake indicates obviously water bodies, one of the water bodies. So Watchman of the Lake. So this lesson or this drama, this is the dramatized version of the story Watchman, The Watchman, which has been written by R.K. Narayan. So who is R.K. Narayan? R.K. Narayan is one of the well-known Indian writers. So his contribution to the Indian literature, that is massive. Okay, as I said, he is the one who showcased the Indian literature in English to the rest of the world. So that is why he is one of the greatest Indian writers. So here R.K. Narayan, what does he present through this Watchman of the Lake? So he talks about the conservation of water. So as I said, this is a dramatized version, or this is a drama, one act play, or we can say one act play, which has 5 scenes. So this is a one act play. This is a one act play which has 5 scenes. Right. So here he speaks about, or through this drama he gives us message about the water conservation. Water conservation. So here we have a protagonist. So what do you mean by protagonist? The main character of this particular drama, that is an ordinary man called Mara. So you have already come across this name even before. When we were discussing around a medicinal creeper, again that chapter has been removed for this year. So don't get confused between that Mara and this Mara. Okay, this Mara is completely different Mara. So in Watchman of the Lake also Mara is the main character here. He is the protagonist. In other words, we can say that this is a story of an ordinary man. So rustic, this is a story of a rustic. Rustic is an ordinary man. So this is a story of an ordinary man who does an extraordinary work by sacrificing his own life to save his entire village. So how? Because he wanted to save the lake which was there in his village, and that is why he sacrificed his own life for the water conservation, so that he can preserve water, conserve water for the people of his village. Or in other words, he wanted to save the lake since so many people, so many lives were depending on it. So that's why he sacrifices his own life. Look at that. So it shows that he has a concern towards his people. So he is selfless. Mara is selfless here. So his character can be defined as, can be defined as selfless. Mara is not a selfish person, because in case if he was selfish, definitely he wouldn't have taken this risk, or he wouldn't have risked his own life to save so many people and his lake. So this is all about the theme of Watchman of the Lake, as I said. And you have to understand here that, as I said, we have 5 scenes here, and in each scenes we see different shades of Mara's character. Okay, so in each scenes there is a transformation in Mara's character. So this is about the first part, and now let us see the characters that we are going to see in this drama. The first one is Headman. Headman, the one who makes the workers work, and he is the one who looks after the other affairs in the kingdom or in that village. So he is the headman who is powerful and who has all the rights, and he is very arrogant, and he is very proud about himself, and that's why he talks down to the other workers, because he dominates. He is a dominating character here. You can take the character of Headman as very dominating. He is very dominating personality here. He dominates everyone, and he talks down to everybody, and he yells at everybody, especially at his workers. And then comes the king. The king of that village. He is very sensible person. So the king should be like that, and he has all that nature that a king must have. So here too we see very humble king who is ready to listen to his subjects, and who has lots of patience to listen what his subjects have to say. So this is the character of king here. So even though he is king, he doesn't have any arrogancy, or he doesn't have any bullying or dominating nature. But here the headman has that nature. So that is a contrasting nature here. So king is very humble here. And then comes Mara, Watchman of the Lake. So he takes the entire responsibility of the lake. So he gives everything for that lake. He puts all his effort to save that lake. So he looks after that lake with the responsibility. So that is the character of Mara, as I said. So here we'll get surprised to see the different characters of Mara, or how he transforms himself when we reaches the 5th scene. And then comes Bhima. Bhima is one of the workers. Okay, he is one of the workers who was working under the instructions of the headman. So Bhima, again Bhima is very giant. he has a giant appearance. He is giant in appearance, but he has a soul of a baby. So he was very kind too. And then Mara's son Ganga. Mara's son Ganga. This is not daughter but son. The name of Mara's son is Ganga. Okay, don't write daughter now. Don't get confused with this name. Okay, so the name of Mara's son is Ganga. Again, he is the one who is going to take the responsibility of the lake after the death of Mara. So the responsibility of Mara that rubs on Ganga after his death. So he is the future watchman of the lake. You can say that. And then comes son. This is a proper noun. Okay, son is the proper noun. Son is the name of the son of Ganga. Don't get confused again. Mara's son, Ganga. Ganga's son, son. So this is quite, very strange, and this is funny. This sounds very funny. So these are the main characters that we come across, and again there is one more strong character. Okay, that is the goddess. The river goddess. Okay, this is again one of the main characters here. So all these characters have their own features, and they have their own part to play here. So we'll discuss the scenes one by one. So these are the main characters. So now let's look at the plot where this drama takes place, or the first scene takes place. And before that, I think we should look at the background also. So the play is set in the village called Baba Budan Hills. Baba Budan Hills, which is there in Karnataka. And there is an obscure place. What do you mean by obscure? Very mysterious, we can say that. So there is an obscure place which is now called as Sakkarepatna. You might have heard of that name. So now that is called as, there was an obscure place called Sakkarepatna, and this place was the capital, or this place used to be the capital of the king called Rukmangada few years back, or thousands years back. Okay, not a few but thousands years back, it used to be the capital of the king called Rukmangada. Okay, and in the middle of that town, there is a shrine. What do you mean by shrine? Gudi or temple. So there is a shrine where in the middle of the town, at the center of that town, there is a shrine, and that shrine is dedicated, to a rustic man. Usually shrines or temples that are built for gods or some distant heroes or legends. But here in this village there is a shrine, and that is built not for any legends or heroes, but to a rustic man, to an ordinary man. So that there must be some serious purpose behind that, because nobody builds shrine for a man so easily. If they have built a shrine for an ordinary man, which means he might have done something which is very great, or he might have done some extraordinary work, and that's why they have built a shrine which indicates that he is equivalent to God. So that's how they show respect towards his sacrifice, and that shrine is built for the watchman, of the lake called Ayyana Kere. Kere. So I hope you understood this. Don't get confused. So this play is set in the village called Baba Budan Hills, which is there in Karnataka. And there is an obscure place which is now called as Sakkare Patna. So which was a few or thousands years back, it was the capital of the king called Rukmangada. And there in the center of that town, there is a shrine which is dedicated to a rustic man, not to any gods or distant heroes, to a rustic, to an ordinary man. Who is that? That is the watchman of the lake. Watchman of the lake, which lake? Ayyanakere. So the watchman or that ordinary man, he was looking after, or he was watching, he was guarding a lake called Ayyanakere. For that watchman, they built a shrine in the center of that village. So this is where the story takes place. Okay. So we do not know the real name of that watchman. For this story, or for the purpose of this story, we'll call him Mara. Okay. Mara. So here in this drama, he is named as Mara. So this is the background of Watchman of the Lake. So we'll get into the first scene. So in the first scene, what happens? We see the characters that we see in the first scene, that is the road menders, the road repairers, the one who repairs the roads, and then headmen and then Mara. The first scene is presented in a humoristic way. So here the character of Mara is very funny. Okay, he looks humorous. Mara looks so funny here, or it is humorously presented. The character of Mara is humorously presented in the first scene. So how does the first scene begin? Here everybody is working so hard there in the village, and these road menders, they were all working under the guidance of the headman. The headman is very angry. In the first scene, if you look at him, there are some dialogues. Okay, so there he is scolding and rebuking the road menders because they are not working properly. The road menders are not working properly, and that is why the headman, he gets angry and he starts scolding them, and he tells him to work as fast as they can. But they are not able to work without being distracted. Why? Because the reason is Mara. As I said, Mara was disturbing them with his monkey business. But here the headman is very angry on the workers since they were not working seriously. And he had to get all that work done by within a day. Why? Because the king was arriving. The road menders were working under the guidance of, or under the instructions of, the headman. Why? Because for the king's arrival, the king is about to arrive their village, and that's why they wanted to, that's why the king is about to arrive their village, and that's why they had to keep the roads ready. And that is why here the headman was the responsibility for that, and he was taking all that responsibility of mending the roads, and he was guiding, or he was making the workers repair that road. But unfortunately, Mara was disturbing those road menders, and that's why the headman got angry. So he scolds everybody there. As I said, he dominates everyone. He insults the workers for not working properly, because some workers were laughing, some were giggling, and some were just gaping or staring at the sky. They were simply standing and they were not focusing on their work. And that's what made the headman angry. When the headman asked the road menders the reason for their laugh, they pointed at Mara. They said that Mara was disturbing them. So headman again got angry because Mara, he had already warned Mara not to disturb his workmen. But he didn't listen that, but he kept on disturbing the road menders. He was coming there, Mara was coming there often to meet headman and talk to him. So what he wanted to talk to the headman, what he was trying to say to the headman, so that we'll learn in the next class. Before that, the headman here, we have to understand the character of headman here. When I started the class itself, I told you that headman is very dominating character here. He doesn't have any patience to listen to Mara, and he considers Mara as madman. He calls him insane and he uses some abusive word for Mara. He doesn't have any patience to listen what he has to say. If he is coming there again and again or often, which means he had to understand that Mara has something very important to convey. But headman doesn't understand that, but instead he scolds him, he humiliates him and he threatens him. So this is all about the first scene. Of course, there are so many things to learn in the first scene. So we'll discuss that in the next class along with the textbook. I think this is enough for the first class. So this is the introduction class of Watchman of the Lakes. So we'll end this class here itself. We'll discuss the scenes one by one from the next class onwards. Thank you.